Good evening, Nandita. How are
Hi,
you?
Rani. How are you? All well? How's it going?
Very nice, very well, all well. So good to see you.
I
But
know, same here. And this is such a wonderful, topic and that you've taken up. Pretty excited about it.
I know, and that is why we were discussing, and then we kind of converged, me and Shikha, on that. Let's call Nandita because
Yeah.
you would be able to do justice with the with integrating it to maths and sciences and humanities and how to,
Yeah.
So great.
No, no,
Thank you so
thank you.
much.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we've all been in this journey together. So very excited to hear all the conversations that are going to happen today. And
Yeah.
I'm sure that you will really value add very well to the entire topics.
No, no, I'm sure with such seasoned panelists and are young, this is a new element that we've added because
Yes.
it's the students will also be given a certificate of doing a short internship because they're mentored and they undergo
Mhm.
the journey and then they moderate. So that's another aspect. And we are actually, I don't know, we are running this Edu Intern 5.0, and we have
Okay.
about 400 to 500 students interning with us in
Yes.
various, yeah. So a lot
No,
of
no,
students.
very, very, very excited. So I have two of my students here with you today, and I'm pretty sure that they will learn a lot and have great value addition after experiencing this forum.
Absolutely. And I mean, at that stage that they are interacting on such thought-provoking, concepts, it is in itself another journey. We also have with us another panelist, Dr. Sarabjit Chandok. Is he here? Shikha, has he joined Team Edudevs? Has Mr. Chandok joined? And we have with us Lakshmi Madhavan from Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. This initiative is a collaborative event between Edudevs and Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University.
Hello,
Good
ma'am. Good
evening.
evening.
Good
Yeah,
evening. How are you,
good
Lakshmi?
evening, ma'am. Good, ma'am. So
So
it's long time.
yes, it's been a long
Happy
time.
to
This is
be,
season
yeah.
2. This is season 2 of our futuristic education. And let me introduce you to Miss Nandita Karai. And over to you both. And that is why we give this little window to each other. Yeah.
So hi, ma'am. So I
Hi,
am also
Lakshmi.
excited. Yes, I think I'll be able to collect a lot more information related to the school education and all. So
Yeah, yeah, very excited to get this going. So Devyani, how would you like us to take it forward? Are we waiting
Yes.
for some more people?
Yes. I think is Dr. Sarabjit Chandok there? Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Namaskar. I've been seeing you a lot on one of the groups, and good to have you. I was very surprised when Shikha, intimated that you're coming, and nice to have you with us. Welcome,
Thank you
sir.
so much, and pleasure is mine, ma'am, because I always have been looking to you. You were in Kanpur also,
Yes,
and we didn't met. You were in Chitals, and
yes,
we didn't met over there. You were there. But it's my pleasure to be on your show. Thank you so much, and I'm so
absolutely.
sorry due to technical fault. I'm a little late.
No, no, absolutely no problem. And at Team Edudevs, can we have the AV following which the stage would be passed on to our moderators and then probably to me, and then it is open to all of our esteemed panelists. Yes, Team Edudevs. The moderators.
Yes. Good evening, one and all present here. My name is Drishti Sharma from Homerton Grammar School. I thank Edudevs for giving me this opportunity to moderate this webinar and to be a part of this panel discussion. I'm driven by a thirst for knowledge and desire to make a positive impact in integration knowledge for holistic learning.
Everyone, Edudevs and Amrita University. I'm Nitya Arya from Homerton Grammar School. Today, I participating in the opportunity provided by Edudevs allows me to moderate this webinar and be a part of this panel discussion in front of honored members. Stepping in the running race of grasping the wealth of knowledge.
In today's dynamic world era, rather than just compartmentalizing knowledge, transdisciplinary education is more than just an amalgamation of different subjects. It breaks boundaries to foster innovation, creativity, and holistic learning.
Its significance of addressing complex challenges, learners to solve complex problems such as poverty, health issues, and take a big step towards climate change. By bringing gap between theory and practical academics and the real world, it helps students to become lifelong learners and agents of change. It cultivates a global perspective, fosters empathy, and facilitates collaborative learning, debates, discussions, and projects.
Transdisciplinary education paves the way for a more equitable, inclusive, holistic, and sustainable future. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this webinar effective and possible. Now, I would like to introduce panelists for today's webinar. Our first panelist is Mr. Chando, principal of Sky Valley International School. He is a seasoned senior principal in Kanpur and a distinguished CBSC COE resource person, principal trainer, teachers trainer, student counselor, and a life coach. He embodies unwavering dedication to fostering educational excellence. His illustrious journey is punctuated by numerous national and international awards. Underscoring his profound impact on the educational landscape, his initiative, the SS Chandok Talk Show, is a commendable platform for discussing topics related to children and bringing together influential leaders and educators. We welcome you for today's webinar, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Now, our second panelist is Mrs. Nandita Karai from Homerton Grammar School. An educator with over 21 years of experience, Nandita has been a part of eminent schools and organizations. As an educator, she has actively participated in designing many progressive curriculums such as project and theme-based learning, art-integrated curriculum, active learning curricula, and pedagogies that focus on 21st century skill development among students. She is a passionate advocate of holistic and child-centric teaching methodology. She is the proud recipient of Shiksha Bhushan Award and the Global Education Award for contributing to the education sector. We welcome you, ma'am, for today's webinar.
Thank you so much.
Our third panelist is Ms. Lakshmi Madhavan. She is an educator, panelist, resource person, competitive exam coach, assistant manager of career counseling and coaching. Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Ms. Lakshmi comes with 8 years of experience in different fields. She has 4 years of teaching experience in the computer science stream. She has also taken training sessions for entrance exams like LET, CAT, etc. She conducts training sessions on IIT JEE exams. She is good in comprehensive training programs which focus on exam strategies, problem-solving techniques, and subject-specific guidance. She believes that proper information and knowledge should be given to every child before they choose their career-defining course. We welcome you for today's webinar, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, I would like to introduce our co-host, Mrs. Divyani Kapoor, founder and CEO of the Edudevs and Upskilling Education, an educator, author, trainer, motivator, and personality consultant. Mrs. Kapoor carries with her over 3 decades of experience in the education sector and has worked with many key brands in the industry like DAV Schools, MAT Schools, and Heritage Schools. She is an author with Cambridge Publications, United Kingdom, and is credited to have authored several CBSE curriculum books. Mrs. Kapoor allocates include the iconic Entrepreneur of the Year 2021, Women's Leadership Award 2022, and selection for the prestigious Women Lead India Fellowship to 2022 to 2023 by Reliance Foundation and Vital Voices. Ma'am, I welcome you to today's webinar. Now, I would like to hand over the mic to you to proceed with the webinar. Mute.
The very fact that you were deliberating on talking about a topic like transdisciplinary education in itself is a big leap that the youth are discussing concepts like these. I welcome all our esteemed panelists on this show, Mr. Sarabjit Chandok, Ms. Nandita Garai, and Ms. Lakshmi Madhavan. Welcome to all our esteemed panelists. And I'm sure today's deliberation and discussion is going to be extremely insightful and help us understand and navigate the newer trends and aspects of 21st century education. You see, in a world which is rapidly changing, evolving, sometimes we also designate it as the VUCA world. But honestly, today's world is a world which has a dichotomy. It is full of challenges, but it is full of opportunities too. It's a world where education needs to prepare these students with critical thinking, problem-solving techniques to navigate through these problems and help them live sustainably in this 21st century society. The concept of education, the way we look at the subjects, the way we treat the streams has transformed and evolved a lot. Today's, it's very trending, and there is a transformative approach that is becoming the buzzword in the educational corridors, which is transdisciplinary education. Our topic of today, dear audience and panelists, is transdisciplinary education. From the topic, you would get a little insight of what it is, breaking down silos and integrating knowledge for holistic learning. But before we delve into transdisciplinary education, let me just very briefly throw some light on the different ways by which the disciplines have evolved and how they are interconnected and what functions do they play? Are they connected? Do they stand alone? So when we talk about a disciplinary approach, it is all about understanding the nuances, the content of that particular discipline. When it comes to curriculum, you understand what the discipline would contain as a basic curriculum, which will help us get a hold of that discipline. There came an era where we spoke about multidisciplinary approaches, where disciplines remain intact, but the focus is normally on a theme. So there were schools which picked up projects, they started working on those projects, and each discipline had came together and had its own offerings to solve that particular problem. Then there came interdisciplinary approach. Now, this approach is one where there is a co-joining of disciplines, which develops a shared understanding between the different subjects. When I say disciplines, I mean in the traditional word subjects. But the same thing was, it was this shared understanding was towards a particular theme or a problem. Now, when we talk about transdisciplinary approach or a transdisciplinary curriculum, it revolves around the real world experiences. It goes beyond any kind of disciplines. Any discipline loses its importance. In a nutshell, transdisciplinary education, as very well spoke by Nitya and Drishti, and I reiterate what they said, is that it is simple breaking down disciplines. There are no strict boundaries. It helps understand the world problems in a very, very holistic manner. There is so much that I can say, but I would leave it to the experts of today who are our panelists. Without much ado, let me start this session with the ice-breaking question, which would be addressed, the same question being addressed to each of the panelists, and we hear about their different perspectives. After this ice-breaking question, we would have one question addressed to each of the panelists. That'll be one from me, and then the house will be open between a discussion between the students and the panelists. And the last segment would be where our viewers will address their queries to our esteemed panelists and experts of today. In the order of introduction, which was Mr. Sarabjit Jindal, Ms. Nandita Karai, and Ms. Lakshmi Madhavan, my question is that how do you see transdisciplinary education aligning with this broader goal and broader purpose mission with which the NCF 2023 has come up? How will it contribute to creating a more inclusive, a more dynamic learning environment? Alongside, how would the curriculum integrate this into, will it be able to, because our textbook speaks something else, the curriculum says something else, and the pedagogies, how will it be integrated into the current pedagogies? Yes, over to you, Mr. Sarabjit Jindal.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that question. And it's a very hot topic. It keeps on going since we have started up with the NCF or NEP. After more than 3 decades, this has come into, which is very important and is very good for the children. With a lot of points they have added up in NEP and now in NCF also. The first and the most important thing when we talk about the Indian student is that the mentality of the parents is either my child will become a doctor or an engineer, but they do not know because they have their understanding or their pressure on the child to do what they don't want to do. And this is the reason, because there's so much failure amongst the students and they are not getting jobs even after they are doing their, their graduation or their studies. The most important thing is that the parents have to be made understood about NCFs, because we on this level of education, we are able to make the children understand, we are able to make, the government is also cooperating, but it's very difficult to make the parent understand what actually it is. Now the things have changed. this disciplinary act has to be taken into consideration. Let me take an example. One other person went to a sculpture and he said, I want to know how to make statues. Okay, he said, if you want to know how to make statues, just go and learn painting first. When he went to the artist and he said, I want to learn painting, he said, if you want to learn painting, you should first know how to dance. When he went to a dancer and he asked him that, why do you, I want to learn dancing? He said, if you want to just learn dancing, you have to learn music. Go to a musician, learn the music, then come to me. Then only you'll become accomplished. So the moral of the story is that if you want to become something, you have to be multidisciplinary. You don't have to maintain into. There are certain acts what you are doing, they don't come under any specific discipline because this thing is not needed in the hour right now. There are a lot of things we were saying, jack of all, master of nothing. But the concept has changed now. If you want to become the master of one thing, you have to be jack of all. We have been seeing that the students, they have getting 99%, 100% in the board examination, but they fail when they go into the open market where they have to get jobs because they are bookworms, but they do not know how to deal with the people, with the companies. So it is very important because now universities like Amrita and these people, they have come up with liberal education. A lot of stress is paid that they are having, we in DPS big schools, we are having 4-5 section of sciences, 3 of commerce, and only for a half a section of humanities. But a time will come when there will be the maximum, sections for the humanities, because this liberal education where the universities like Amrita have brought into things where you have the, subjects and majors and minors. These university people will tell us that during the first year, the student do not know what subject they actually want to have. After first year, they change up their subjects also. So it is very important for these students and for the parents, along with the parents, because we know it very well in India, decision maker are the parents. There should be involvement of the parents wherein they should be told about importance about the NCF and the NEP, that if you want that your child should get ready for the future, you have to go up with NCF, and this discipline which we want to add up, this is very important. So this is my take that wonderful things are being doing by these type of universities where we are bringing the awareness. And thanks to you also that I was very happy to, I just remembered the name of the topic you had. I haven't prepared anything because I didn't got the time. Even I just came rushing from my school. That this is a very important topic and this awareness is needed for all the teachers, for the students, for the parents. That there are a lot of new things which have come into where the children have a lot of scope. So these type of education where it is given when you are not into any particular discipline, but that is a mixture of discipline. That is why NEP says that there will be no science, commerce, or humanities. Any combination of my child wants to have humanities, child wants to go for commerce. He is very good at mathematics and accountancy, but he doesn't want to go for any learning. He can go on to another subject. So whatever is the interest of the child, that should be given. Every parent has seen the movie 3 Idiots, but they don't follow that. And this awareness has to be brought among the society that these type of courses, they should visit these type of universities. They should go into the website of using universities like Amrita, and they should see that what is the scope and of course, what are the, the future opportunities for the child when they do up their, these type of courses and what are the job possibilities for them. That is all.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Chandok, and we shall come back to you. Whether it's designing sustainable cities or addressing public health crisis or exploring intersection of technologies, ethics, the student of today, most important is he needs to understand the problems of today, the society in which he lives. And that is where the transdisciplinary education comes forth. Moving on to Nandita. Nandita ma'am, the same question I address to you too. How do you think this particular transdisciplinary education is aligning with the broader mission, because you see that the IB curriculum does have this, but NCF is, what about our CBSE schools where the pattern of education is quite different? What is your take on this topic?
Thank you, Devyani, and thank you, sir, for speaking so well on something that we are all thinking about. If we read the NEP, if you read the NCF document that the government has brought out, I think one very important thing that we should understand is that the broadest and the clearest goal of the NEP policy this time is to implement what they call a competency-based curriculum or a competency-based education. Now, when we talk about a competency, before we talk about breaking down disciplines, we must go back and see that, why is this whole curricula is coming that, we don't need to study it within a particular silo, or we don't have to study it within a particular discipline. Because now the policy says move away from a content-based education to a competency-based education. And therefore, we have to look at a journey of changing a paradigm shift or a mindset where all the stakeholders, whether it is the management, the teachers, the parents, and the students, we have to understand what are these competencies that we as schools wish to create. So I think as education system, we are no longer left with a simple responsibility of taking any curriculum and just teaching it. But we are now empowered to take on the responsibility of creating competency in a generation that is sustainable and something that will allow them then to find solution, like Devyani says, whether it's planning a sustainable city, whether it is this thing, they must have the competence to put together, to draw upon this thing, to construct new knowledge, and therefore then to be viable and sustainable in the world that they will grow on. As schools, when we look at competency-based curriculum and when we are thinking that, what is it that we as educators sitting today at the threshold, how can we visualize what a child will need 20 years from now, or what the world will be 20 years from now, what it is that we should teach our children? I think we should now look at constructing knowledge as a student. How do I construct knowledge? How do I put together my facts? How do I apply and analyze my knowledge? And that, to my mind, is one of the important drivers of NEP. That is why it's saying don't study something that is coming under physics, and don't think that if you have to study physics, you have to study chemistry, right? And it also says that if you're studying something like earlier, you mentioned that we have experimented with project-based learning, we have experimented with art-integrated learning, we have been multidisciplinary, we have been multi-intellectual, stimulating all kinds of things. So now I think it's time that, okay, let us study something from the point of view that creates our competency for having whatever is required to solve a problem. And therefore, I think, this NEP is a path-breaking document because it is giving us the flexibility. It's giving us a flexibility to create learning outcomes. I think now we are no longer stuck with learning objectives. We are not stuck in school that I have to only teach this to my child. And if I have to teach this to my child, I have to teach it under a certain discipline or teach it under a certain domain. So I'm saying, okay, if I want my child to have this competency, or if I want my child to have this ability, how do I expose or how do I stimulate my child that such a competency or, kind of a caliber of that child and that personality can be developed? And that is something that I think it's important to understand that, if we think of knowledge like a jigsaw puzzle, and we say that we can't give a child simple, small parts of the jigsaw and then expect the child to put the big picture themselves. We are saying that, okay, fine, how do you take all these jigsaws of little knowledges that we are putting together and you create a big picture? You have the competency to always create the big picture and put together these little jigsaws together through your own abilities. And in
So
my
you
mind,
want- yeah.
sorry, yeah,
So cutting you here, but wanting to ask you something. So
Mm.
for the audience, you mean to
Yeah.
say that before we step into transdisciplinary approach, it is the
Yes,
competency-based is a prelude, or maybe we are, because there's so much of the talk,
yes,
and
yes,
we are, as you said, from content to
yeah,
paradigm shift to a competency, and which
correct.
is the ideal. So that means competency based, because nowhere in schools we are talking about or dividing the
Yeah,
themes into, like, the way IB schools divide it into 4 to
yeah,
5
yeah,
themes, the entire knowledge is, or so competency based education, you mean to say, is a prelude which will
yes,
gradually lead us to a transdisciplinary. It is preparing
ab-
us to a trans.
absolutely. Because we still have to take everything step by step. We're talking about a very mega system. We're talking about a large number of stakeholders, and as sir already mentioned, a lot of mindsets. So we can't do something something that we ourselves don't completely understand. So carrying everyone at the same time, slowly. So very simple for us to understand, for us to make a teacher understand when we talk about competency. So I said, okay, fine. You teach English, you teach your subjects, you teach your question answers, but I want a competency that the child can speak well, write well, express well. So it's easy for me to define competency for them first in their disciplines.
Absolutely.
Within the disciplines, we should have the ability to, elicit competencies from students. And once we do that, then we can break down, the silos, and then the competencies are left, and then it becomes transdisciplinary.
Great, great. Well said. That means I would buy it and I would roll it out to the audience that the road towards um, developing a transdisciplinary approach has already begun, and the small steps are competency-based education, which definitely is. So, also, Nandita, I am quite tempted to ask you, because I keep visiting so many schools, and when I look at them, most of the educators are again struggling with the same old-fashioned mindset now. Initially, it was HOTS, then it was objective types, and today when I move, they are constantly talking about, ma'am, we need to know what is competency based question. Competency based question पे अगर कुछ if you have something, so please send us. So again we are going back. This time it is, when will a teacher be equipped? But we will come back to you. Stay with this
Yeah.
thought, because I realize that Lakshmi is there, and I will come back with this thought to you, because that's very, very important, and our audience need to know that. Yes. Lakshmi, hello, Lakshmi, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
To you, I mean, I would like to probably, because so much is being spoken, Mr. Chandok also spoke about that, how we need to free the children from the stringent subject stream, and then Nandita spoke about the shift from the content to competencies, and how competency is the road towards the bigger mega approach, which is the transdisciplinary. Now, to you, what role do technologies and digital tools play in facilitating this transdisciplinary learning experience?
So yes, I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh, completely. So I have been keenly observing the discussions that was happening related to transdisciplinary education. So here, I'm really happy that everything is changing, because as a university, as somebody from the higher end perspective, it's like from a higher educational background, it's not about gaining marks in subject. It's not about knowing something, I would say practically. But now the students will have an idea about the real life problem, how they have to use what they have studied. It's all about implementing what they have studied. That is what that was lacking in the kids. So when it comes to transdisciplinary education, there is always that experimental learning or experiential learning, the project-based learning, everything is there. But with the transdisciplinary education, the students will get a chance to implement what they have studied in the school, and they could see, yeah, this is what I have studied. I can use this in such a way that this problem, I'll be able to eradicate this problem, or I'll be able to help the people who are facing such a problem. So when it comes to the use of technology, we all know we are in a place where we teachers are, I would say, improving about all the technologies here, about the AI, about the different something called augmented reality or the virtual reality or the machine learning. We teachers are improving. We are studying about these technologies. Similarly, when it comes to transdisciplinary education, what role technology can play is technology will be able to provide the kids with a lot of resources. It's the huge resource structure that the kids are getting. So whenever they want to implement something, they have the resources, they have the data. So it's a huge thing. There is a lot of collaboration that's going to happen with the help of technology. Technology can assist the implementation process also. So it's like whenever a new initiative is going to happen, whenever a new project is going to be implemented, at each stage, from the initial, I would say, the discussion to the final implementation to the feedback, technology plays a huge role.
Can you give us an example, help us understand that how in a particular situation?
Okay. So, yes. So maybe this is something related to the branches of engineering, let's say. So if somebody is into, I would say, automotive or mechanical field, it may be something called interdisciplinary, but also transdisciplinary. I am a commerce student, but I do have something related to the finance. I do have something related to the commercial part, the commerce part or the financial part. So when somebody who is in a mechanical field also has to have some information about the commerce part or the finance part. So whenever these is happening, it's like I would just give you one example. In our university, we are having a lot of integrated programs. There is something called data science, where somebody who is really into mathematics and I would say computers, they are taking the integrated course. So maybe after the first year, if I'm feeling, yeah, this is not my area, I want to jump into something else, finance, we are giving them the opportunity. So these type of collaborations are happening. One more good example which I want to give you is called the live-in labs. I don't know whether you have heard about it. This is a concept that Amrita is having. We do have a lot of foreign students under this paper. So this is a concept where we will send our students, maybe 10, 20, or I would say 30 people to any location of our country. They'll stay there for maybe 4 weeks or something, maybe 1 month, 2 weeks, based on the problem. They'll talk with the local people, they'll understand their issues, they'll come back to the university, collaborate with different departments that's here in the university, prepare a proper plan, then go to the place and implement it. It could be anything related to electricity, water, in any department. It could be a combination of civil and electrical department. It could be a combination of mechanical or automobile department. So this is what is happening. So it is something which is going to give them a practical idea. That has happened. Mostly it's related to water issues or electrical type of issues. Now, another one is in the district, which is called Idukki in Kerala. It's more prone of earthquakes. So our children has been there for, I would say 4 months and all. They have studied what is actually happening there. And they have developed certain devices with the help of electrical and other departments. They have placed it in that place. Now our children visit there often, maybe once in a month or twice in a month. They go there, understand what's happening. They'll do the improvements. It's just the collaboration is always there with the local people. So this way, they know this is what concept I have studied in the electrical. This is the concept I have studied in civil. So it's just, I have studied this, I'm just practically implementing it.
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, so that is that look at a problem and then apply all your knowledge, irrespective of, compartments in which you had studied, to work out a solution to that problem. Thank you so much, Lakshmi, and we'll come back to you. My next question is addressed to both our principals. And you see, when you look at, as principal, I'm sure, because there's so much happening in last 5 to 6 years, so much has happened, and changing from due to the disaster or the calamity, then to the changes that the policies brought in. And all these changes are not because of the policies. I always feel they are geared towards, because of the changes that are happening in the world. It is our answer. The policies are just an answer to how we must, in the best form, function in the current scenario, whichever the stage it would be. As principals now, a very direct question: how do you envision integrating this transdisciplinary approaches into the existing curriculum? Does your curriculum, of course, Nandita did talk about at length about the competency-based education. On the one side, yes, we are developing the competencies, but does the curriculum give us that window or that space where we could integrate the transdisciplinary approaches in the curriculum and in the school culture? And how we would be able to integrate? Does the policy give you that space, whether it is in the primary subjects or through vocational or whatever? If you could one by one tell us how you are dealing with a transdisciplinary approach. Yes, Mr. Chandra.
Yes. Ma'am, we know very well that the decision maker is the parent. The children, they are more smarter. They are technology resident and we are technology migrant. They know much about all these things. But again, when the parents have to decide, the main counseling has to be done for the parents, and we do it, and we have to make them understand. Let me give an example. Few months back, I went to DU. One of the college called me up for taking a session. I took up the session when it was an open round. One of the child asked me, sir, I excelled in my competition. I topped in my competition, and all the doors of college and universities were open for me in India. But when I wanted to take admission in Germany, my admission was refused. Why? Because I did not have the basic knowledge of AI. When we talk about AI in India, in the most of the schools, AI starts in 11th and 12th, what we call it computer science. We have to understand this, and we have to make understand, which we do it for our teachers, or for our parents also, and the students also, and for the other schools, because India is an agriculture country. The high graded schools, A+ schools, they are very less. The mediocre schools are much more. The parents have to be made aware that there are many scope for the children. It is not only what we talked about, doctor or engineer. There are a lot of things.
Yes, sir. My question is, leave aside parents. My question is, in your school, how are you integrating this transdisciplinary approach? How
Yes,
are you trying to? Because does
yes,
the
ma'am.
subject, yeah, yes.
Man, like we have come up with financial literacy in our school. We are taking up with mathematics. We have added a few people who do these type of bring up courses into the schools, where the children are being said that they should take money and go into the market and they to spend that. Like as ma'am was saying, when you have talked about, you tell us an example. The children, they are being from some other stream. They are going up into the market. They are going up into a particular city. They are staying there for 3-4 weeks. They are grown up. But our children, which are on the school level, they are being made to understand all these things. When we have just started up last year only what you call this financial literacy. So these type of things we are added, wherein we are developing the all-round development. When we talk about transdisciplinary, means that all-round development of the child should be done There should be no particular exact discipline. It should be a mixture of all. So these type of things, when we integrate amongst the students, and we have done it at our school also, there's a lot of improvement in the education. There are many things. We have started teaching the students in the way that the teachers are facilitators. We have brought up more of the technologies. With the help of technology, teachers are getting help. You see, teacher is not a teacher now, he is a facilitator now. It should be, we have started at doing this, that we are making it a child-oriented class. It should not be a teacher-oriented class. It's not like in our time, a teacher is coming up to the board, putting a four sums and said, okay, exercise and chapter is over. We are letting the teachers that the child is wrong, is doing wrong, he has given answer wrong. Please give them chance to speak. Don't say them that you are wrong. Let them say, and you can sum up.
Financial literacy, when you spoke
Yeah.
about financial literacy, that is one aspect where the students are exposed to the problems and they
Right.
find solutions to it.
Right.
That is what. And could you just give us an example of how it functions in your school, these such projects or programs? Financial literacy, how does it how does it again is taken into the classroom like a curriculum, or are they working it with the help of a project?
Ma'am, we are making it both the ways. In school, we are adding up in the curriculum. We are giving the periods for these type of things where the children, they are themselves acting as a market, and someone is becoming a shopkeeper. When we are going for social studies, they are enacting all the chapter. You see, these, when you are not able to give them AR, VR, it is very good that you should give them this practical knowledge. Ultimately, this will be the benefit of the child. So when we are talking about this financial literacy, we are giving it to the parents also in the parents meeting that, okay, today you will give your child 100 rupees and you will say him that so much things, this notebook and these pencil and this pen you have to bring, and you have to tell me how much money you have spent it. So mama gives the money to them, then the report comes to us through the parent, the teacher communicates with the parent at what the child has done out. You know, when you make them do themselves practically, the practical aspect of the things is not there with the children. That is why they're not able to go. And all these things, they bring the practical approach. When they get the practical approach, they are set to these all these things. They have an all-round development with transliterary.
Great, thank you so much. So moving on to Nandita. Nandita, you remember I left you with the thought about the teacher still juggling with designing of competency-based questions. Here, the teacher is juggling with designing, and there we are talking about a culture of transdisciplinary. How do you envision this entire journey, and what are those small baby steps that you're taking in your school to pave this way for yeah.
You know, Devyani, before I answer this question, I'm going to relate a very short story, which, together we read when we were reading the fifth discipline. Okay, so, when it talks about change management, the book has this very lovely analogy of the frog and the hot water. And if I may relate the story for the sake of the audience, that says, how do you put a frog in hot water? So suppose you have water and it is hot and you put the frog in it, the frog immediately jumps out. Whereas if you take a water and the temperature that is comfortable with the frog, you put it inside it and you very gently raise the temperature of the water, the frog adapts itself slowly to the temperature of the water and stays in the water and does not jump out even when the water is hot. So using the same analogy, in change management, because the educators themselves, we talk, CBSE is coming out with a lot of change and a lot of much needed change. I mean, I'm completely on the side of all the entities. We talk about one year we go and say do art integrated learning. Then next year we go and say do project based learning. Then the third year we go and say, okay, now you do competency based education. So whenever I have had interactions with, the fraternity and myself too, I always say, go back to your pole star, your pole star of being an educator, of being, what is the reason? And you say that, when you go back to your pole star and your reasons for there, and you always tell yourself that, yes, I'm here because I want to enable children. The purpose of education is enabling generation of people always to be able to do what is needed in their time and in their need. So I'm saying that whenever we want to enable, we have to continuously see how the world is changing, what is the need of the hour, what do our children need to do. Maybe 40 years back or 50 years back the need was different, around which the education system was designed, and therefore it was quite okay to keep doing what you were doing because it served the need there. But now the needs are changing, the children are changing, the world is changing. The expectations, like ma'am was saying, from even a higher education or another college abroad outside India, those are changing. So therefore don't get lost in words like art integrated learning, differential learning, project based learning, competency based learning. They're just words. They're just words. At the end of the day, you have to enable the child, and you got to understand what the child needs and how do you enable the child. And another thing that which has worked when I've had conversation with people is that if you are in the business, sorry for using that word, but if you're in the business or the industry of knowledge, then you have to have the first ability of being a learner yourself. If I expect my child to be able to construct something new in a new age, in a new time, then I must also have the ability to learn. So I must also understand the process. How do I acquire knowledge? So every time today I'm hit with something, like you are talking about transdisciplinary education today, and maybe after 6 months we talk about something different. So how do we get to know something that's new? That competency has to be there in us also. So we cannot generate competencies in a child without having the competency. So as a teacher, if I want my children to be able to learn something new, I must have the ability also to research and learn. And I think I just send the teachers back and saying, this is your job. It's your job to first learn yourself, first have the ability for learning, and then only you will understand the ability for creating learning in young ones.
Absolutely. Very, very well said, that at the end of the day, we need to enable the child to become a learner and to understand his environment before we, get into, and you're very rightly said, and most of the time, these are jargons that when we use these words, it's an art integration, it's this. And I'm very much, when you were talking, I was reminded of the old times of the Gurukula system, where you see the pupil are made to reside in the house of the guru, and they are doing all that entire day's chores. What is it? They are just learning different skills. And but how the history took shape, and for good or for bad or for development or whatever, we compartmentalized knowledge, we broke knowledge into different silos, and today we ourselves are talking about silos, and and that is, I think, learning and unlearning journey. And yes, the bottom line is, whether it is any kind of approach, from multidisciplinary, disciplinary, or trans, or competency, at the end of the day, we need to understand the child is competent, number one, to understand his relationship with his environment. Two, is able to find solutions to the problems which emerge, which were, see, whether it was today's VUCA world or it was centuries ago, problems are never planned. Problems are problems, they always come. And the third, I feel, is to equip himself with skills and again competencies to be gainfully employed and find, as Mr. Sarabjit Chandok was rightly speaking about, the employability skills, as he said that when I went. And this was a state of education for years. And this is what very happy that the way the policies come up and the way the country is open to discuss and deliberate upon that, the change is needed in terms of we need to make our education system and equip it with the right kind of aspects which helps individual to live and understand the environment. And I will not speak much because it
Ma'am,
is
can I add up one thing, ma'am, if you allow?
absolutely, sir. It is your show.
It is because these many teachers are over here, and I would like to address them that, see, most of the teachers or many of the teachers, they become teacher by chance, but when they come into this profession, they love it. Maybe I was also not thinking to become a teacher, but when I came into, I loved it. The main problem is, ma'am, the teacher who has studied 20 years back is teaching the student in the same way they had been taught. I'm not telling it for everyone, even said. And the second thing is, you are getting the child ready for the next 10, 15 years. So there's a gap of 30 years. You have to get yourself updated. You were using dictionary. Nobody uses dictionary right now. Google is over there. The world was a very big place. Now it has become a very small. So the most important thing I would like to address to the teachers is that you always have to update yourself. We have grown up. We are more than 50, but we updated ourselves at this age. We do all these things. Why? Because if we will not get updated, our children will not get updated. They will always be a failure. Why? Because the teachers who are teaching the same way they were being taught, if they will teach these children in this way, even in today's way you are teaching, the time when they'll go out of the schools and they come into the industry, the things will be more faster and more advanced as compared to today. So my request is, this should be taken to the mind. Make it a child-oriented class. Give the full liberty to the child. No discipline, nothing. Don't add up this transdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. Nothing has to be added. You give them chance. They will do each and everything. They will understand each and everything, and they will love you. And when they will love you, they will get the best marks in your subject because they know that this teacher is giving care to us. So you have to be a facilitator and not a teacher. Thank you.
Very rightly said. And also I would add here that, we were in an age of invention. Today, we are in an age of innovation. So, that shift from invention to innovation, we need to understand that we are in an age of innovation. So we need to instill in our students the habit of constantly becoming curious, inquisitive, having hands-on experiential learnings, and automatically competencies will set in. Without taking much time now, I think I've actually exceeded my time. My student moderators would definitely not be liking it. Now the floor is to our student moderators, and they will be asking questions, addressing their queries, issues to our panel of esteemed guests. Over to you, Nitya and Drishti. And I'm extremely apologetic for taking so much of time. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to ask a question from Ms. Lakshmi, that what opportunities will be available for students to pursue their interests and passions across different disciplines within the framework of transdisciplinary education?
This question is addressed to Lakshmi ma'am. Lakshmi ma'am.
Yeah. So yes, you're asking about the opportunities across the disciplines. Okay. So when it comes to somebody, maybe a student who is in their 12th or maybe 10th or 11th, I'm thinking about there are a lot of things that's happening. A lot of courses are there. It's like there is maths, there is commerce, there is finance. There are a lot of things that's happening around. I don't know which way to go, whether I have to take some technology or whether I have to go with the traditional way. I hope that's what your meaning, the opportunities to how you will be able to pursue your interest and opportunities, right? Okay. So in that case, when you confuse with these many opportunities, research is important, as every person say. What I wish or I suggest is not to stick on one thing, at least be an experience, at least try out 2 to 3 things. It's like you could take a major minor course, or you could take something which is a mix of different things. It's not about I can't survive if I'm studying physics alone. I need something called mathematics there. I need something called scientific computing there. I need something called data science there. Nobody can exist, I would say, individually. I'm very good at physics. My area is physics. It's not like that. I have to have that computer science part. I have to have that mathematics part. I have to have that scientific computing part in me. This applies across everybody. I would say for if you are into the arts part, or if you're into the commerce part also, this applies to every individual or every person who is going to, I would say, start their career now. And I hope mostly teachers are also having an awareness about it. It's not about studying one course and I'll be able to be successful in my career. It's going to be a mix of different things. And what most of the universities or most of the colleges offer is something called a flexible curriculum, which we have already mentioned. If maybe after the first year, in first year, I have an idea about 6 subjects. And if after towards the end of first year, if I'm feeling, yeah, this is something which is my thing, lot of colleges are giving you the opportunity to take up that course at that point of time, and you can continue the studies. That's what is called a flexible curriculum, which most of the people provide you, and do for the or go for the study abroad programs, or the whatever. Whenever you get a chance to do something in the practical way, just go for it. Whether it's a small project or whether it's something related to an experiential learning, whether it's visiting somewhere also, just grab that opportunity and do. So concentration has to be there. It should be a mix. It's not just one thing. It should be a mix of different things. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable insight.
Now, my question goes to Chandok, sir. Sir, as a student, how can I actively participate or engage with transdisciplinary learning opportunities both inside and outside the classroom?
A very good question. As we have come into NEP, and as we say, although NEP has started, but schools have not started up with the, not having any science, commerce, or humanities stream. That is why, like Lakshmi ma'am told, it happens when the students come out of the schools, when they go into the colleges. After first year, they come to know and they change their subjects for the major and minor. Then they come to know actually what they want. The first and the most important thing, as ma'am said, that there should be a lot of research. You are allowed into the schools. The most important thing and the first basic thing, which may be not a part of this question, but as a student, I'd like to tell you all that the first thing is that you should get ready for the failures also. The most important thing is when you're doing something, you do not get success into it, you should learn from that and you should not get distressed from that. This is the first and most important thing, because when you say if a Sachin Tendulkar has become the, the god of cricket or whatever it is, he had done a lot of hard work on it. सबसे पहले जाके ग्राउंड में 2 साल अपने सीनियर्स को पानी पिलाना पड़ता है और धूप में जो है you have to be there at for 16 hours throughout the day. You have to practice, no AC and nothing. Then you reach up to this. You have to understand this, no pain, no gain. This interdisciplinary can be added up. You can go up in your schools. You can come up with a lot of projects, giving your ideas to the teachers. Ma'am, we can make our subjects interesting by putting up these things. As I told you, that social study history has always been, I've been very versed in that, and every child doesn't like history. But when you are taking it as a play or something like that, you can, when you're adding out these type of things, you make the things more interesting. And that is in your life. As I said, took an example, jack of all and master of nothing. If you want to get success, you have to add up all the disciplines, a mixture of all disciplines. Otherwise, you won't be able to get through. And this is the reason why people say that there is a lot of the gap of, we are told about the universities, but there are no job opportunities. You have to be smarter for that. And for that case, In schools also, almost all the schools, they have started up with this type of activities where the involvement of children is in bed. Student counseling, you also might be having in your schools. You can give them these ideas, especially during the middle schools and senior classes, and you can use this.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insight.
So, just a second here, I think I would just like to address something which is there in the chat box. What is actually a flexible curriculum? That's what a query which I saw in the chat box. So with the coming of AI, we all used to say that I am able to provide my kid a personalized learning experience. We all know that, right? What I want, it's my pace of learning. Nobody will be able to learn in that pace. It's my pace of learning. Similarly, when it comes to a flexible curriculum, I'll be choosing what I have to study. It's not what the university offers. So I'm taking up data science. I want finance to be added. I want maybe one art subject to be added. This is something which is going to happen going forward. I'm not saying it's right now implemented, but a lot of people are having, I would say, a little bit of that's implemented, little bit
But
of
ma'am,
this
that is,
form. Yeah.
Lakshmi, ma'am, this is flexible in the universities, but
Yes.
schools have to become a little flexible when the 100% of NEP will be followed within a year or two, where there will be no restriction on the taking of the subjects in the class. So because if you're taking PCM, you have these types sort of this list of, when this will not be there on the school level, they will get the flexibility which you are doing a lot of hard work in their first year. First year they take up in your university to understand what do they want, what do they actually want. So that once comes up to the end of the first year in your universities. So this will be added up in the schools also, that when NEP will be fully implemented, then there'll be no restriction on the subjects what you can take, carpentry you can take, whichever subject your combination. With accountancy, you can take physics or any other subject. Then these type of things and the research will make the children understand what they actually want.
Thank you. Moving on to the next participant. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, my next question is to Miss Nandita, ma'am. That as a student, how can I use transdisciplinary learning to explore potential career paths and discover my passion?
Okay, so I just want to share this one thought with you is that nobody can stop you from learning anything you want to. And you are learning all the time and from any forum you want. It is not like that you have to come to a school to learn photography, for example, right? You are one of the luckiest generation today that you have access to all kinds of information, whether it's through your internet, through your Google, through your access to possibly any expert in any area. So first of all, you must know that if you have an interest or if you have a passion, you don't have to wait to be taught by somebody to learn it. You can learn at any time, any instant, anywhere, whenever you want, right? So if it comes like you're saying, how can you use transdisciplinary to follow your vocation or your passion? You are already in a world which is interdisciplinary, which is transdisciplinary. Nobody says that you cannot learn photography without learning physics or without learning the science of colors. Nobody says that. So you please develop, identify your interest, use this wonderful global world that you have, that you can learn from anything, anyone, anywhere, and find that which connects with you. And when you find what that connects with you, that you turn into a vocation or a profession is the best way to go.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable reply.
There's a last question for Lakshmi ma'am. Can you provide examples of how technologies such as virtual reality and artificial intelligence can be incorporated into transdisciplinary education to create immersive and engaging learning experiences as these technologies are emerging?
Now, when it comes to AI, we can't say it's emerging. It's already there and we have been using it. I'm pretty sure that most of the teachers are using at least one or two softwares which helps them to, I would say, give you that personalized learning structure and all. So one more technology which you have already mentioned is something called the virtual reality, which is going to, I would say, the set of people who is going to be benefited from the technology is actually the school children. When I was studying in my school, when my teacher used to teach me history, when something like some civilization and all, I don't know what's happening. Now with virtual reality, you can have the sensors, you can have everything set up, you have the real environment created in front of you. So it's like it's like more of you're into what you're learning. You're not in a place where the teacher is saying, yeah, this happened, that happened, this is what it is. In that year, this happened, this war, and everything. It's like you're just viewing everything with the help of the reality, and it's just everything is real. You are having that feeling, and it's very easy for you to understand things. That is one thing. Now, most of the teachers, I think you can use the concept of gamification. Another one great example that which could be used for it's like every time you can use a game, but the feed is different and it will be introducing you as a different player. Everything will be changed in that particular environment. There are different games which help the people to teach the students different concepts, whether it is electromagnetism, whether it is the game cultures. There are different games which is going to teach you this. Now, from my university, I would give you a very great example, which is called a flight simulator. I have an aerospace department here. So I have been there, I have experienced it. So sitting in something like a cockpit, I have everything. I have the environment created here, and I'm just flying. It's being used by different, I would say, our armies and those military sections to train the people. But now everybody or almost all the people are having access to it. So you have to use these technologies. It will not happen in just one day. It will take time, but still we can just start trying initially what is happening. And another concept that I would tell is the labs. Almost all the subjects labs are available virtually. During my time, there is something called dissection, that cockroach and the frog dissection and all. I have studied it in biology. Now it's like you could see everything structure, and it feels like, yeah, you are doing the dissection, but you have the output there. These type of different softwares and technologies are available. And through a little bit of research, we'll be able to identify which one is something that suits me. It's not like every platforms are open, but I will not be able to use every platform. I'll not be comfortable with it. So you have to understand whether I have to go for STEM, whether I have to go for language, which is your thing. So, and you can start using the platform, something like Newton. It's a platform where the teachers can have the assignments and everything given through it. So there are different platforms available. Even Mathia is a platform which helps you in studying the mathematics. So what we need to do is, I'm not saying for the teachers, for the kids also, you just need to explore what is available. And you just have to find out what is something that aligns my interest. Just start using it or give it a try. That's how you have to use these things or introduce these things. Thank you. I hope I was able to answer your query.
Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful insight on the question.
So before I conclude, I must extend my sincere thanks to everyone who made today possible. Your presence and enthusiasm have truly made this event memorable. Your time, attention, and support has made this event possible. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I would like to tell our audience that Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, in collaboration with Edudevs, we are on to a journey to upskill, make the fraternity, the various stakeholders aware about the latest trends in futuristic education. We also have our series, which is a masterclass on STEM at NEP, classrooms where educators, senior secondary students can join our free sessions. These are certificate courses on AI in education. We also have our parent counseling sessions online. Please register with us. Please register your school with us to avail all these beautiful offerings that Amrita and Edudevs jointly bring to you online, sitting there right in your offices, homes. You can take advantage of all our initiatives. Thank you so much, Nandita. It's pleasure
you.
having you. Your insights have always been very wise. That can always vouch for it, as I know you from a very, very long time. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chandok. It was great listening to your very real life examples that are so required by the teachers, by the students to imbibe and move on to their journey of learning. At the end, I would just like to say that whether it is competency based or, as we spoke about, transdisciplinary learning, the most important thing is all these learnings help us to understand the world around us, and that learning should be contextual in and apply to the real life. The student should be enabled, as one of our panelists said, to solve real life problems. Thank you so much. With this, we come to the end of this wonderful session. Let me give a special round of applause to our moderators for today, Miss Nitya and Miss Drishti. I hope you enjoyed moderating all of us. Thank you so much. Stay tuned, and may I have the Edudevs team to start the final AV. Thank you so much, everyone, and you shall receive your certificates for participating in this episode of Futuristic Education on this session. Please don't forget to join in our WhatsApp community, where you get a lot of information on Learn with Edudevs. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, can you please tell me when will we get the certificates? I hope I'm audible.